Book of Life, a show about Jewish books, music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. At the seminar on Jewish Story, held in May 2014 in New York, it wasn't only the panelists who were authors. I met several authors in the crowd and got a chance to interview a couple of them during the lunch break. Here are Helaine Becker and then Yael Zoldan with a quick rundown about their books for children. Okay, so Helaine Becker, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then tell me about your new book.
Okay. My name is Helaine Becker. I do write children's books, from picture books all the way through young adult novels, nonfiction and fiction. My latest book is called Gothica, and it's a retelling of the Golem legend set in the future.
Tell me more about that, because that's very intriguing.
Well, the original idea for the book came up because I was a little bit annoyed after reading Harry Potter. Not that I didn't love Harry Potter, what I did, but because, like so many books in Western literature, it's based on a Christian archetype. It's the Christ story, and there's a lovely sacrifice and a rebirth at the end, which is fine, but it doesn't speak to me as a Jewish writer. And I started thinking about writing a story that would have the same kind of universal appeal, but was built on Jewish theology or Jewish architecture, aesthetics. And when I decided on the Golem as a proper subject, that's what I did. I infused it with Jewish theology, Kabbalistic ideas, but it's not a Jewish book. It's a universal book.
So does it identify its sources? Will readers know it's Jewish, or only if they already know the Golem story and they can recognize that in it?
If they're Jewish, they may or may not recognize it, but certainly if you're not Jewish, you would not recognize that those are the sources. And there are sources as well from other areas. It's not only Jews that suffer from oppression or things like that, so it should appeal and apply to everybody, and that's what I was hoping to do.
So kind of a stealth Jewish angle within the universal story.
Exactly. Okay. I like that.
Sneaky. So when's it coming out? Who's publishing it?
It's published in Canada by Dancing Cat Books, and it's coming out on May 21st.
Oh, so very soon. That's exciting. Are you having any kind of celebration, or what are you doing to mark that?
I'm popping the champagne, which is what I do on any reason to celebrate anything. It's Tuesday. Woo! Champagne day.
Great. Okay. And is this your first book that has any kind of a Jewish angle? Because you said you've written like 60 books or something?
Yes, it's the first book with a Jewish angle, but I don't think it will be the last.
Cool. Very good. All right. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you.
So, Yael, you've got this book, Shimmy Shambone Will Not Take a Bath. It's published by Feldheim. And you said that you've had this experience with Orthodox presses. Explain what you were saying earlier.
I was saying that often the Orthodox presses have the issue that they don't want to take a kid with a problem and fix his problem. They'd rather start with a kid who has no problem and make him even more perfect than he was to start, which is
Not
very
realistic.
Unnatural and not realistic. Feldheim didn't actually give me that issue. In my book, Shimmy Shambone Will Not Take a Bath, my third book with them, actually. Shimmy starts out dirty. He does end up clean because we want to teach kids to take baths, and that's definitely an agenda. But they did let me start out with a messy, dirty kid who just didn't want to bathe, and they were okay with that as long as I ended up in a place that they felt comfortable with.
So do you think it was because you found the right publisher that you could get away with not starting with a good kid?
I think so. I think there are some publishing houses, and I won't name them, that have this kind of credo that, Jewish kids particularly are different than regular kids. And they're not bad, and they don't do anything wrong. And I don't think that speaks to children. I definitely don't think that speaks to their parents. And it's very hard to read a book to a kid that you find uncomfortable or unnatural. I know from reading to my own kids, I like something that I can relate to, and they like something that they can relate to themselves. And they find themselves in the mess as much as they find themselves in the solution, I think.
So how do you think it affects those readers, the Orthodox children and their families, when so many of the books they're presented with are the unrealistic story of the wonderful, perfect child?
So I think it was even more problematic years ago when there was less variety in the Orthodox market. There is more variety. There are more houses popping up, and I think that they recognize that that has to be amended to some extent. there is a lot of, morality playing into the stories that we tell. And we believe in teaching moral lessons, but I think that the more it comes to light, that you can hear a moral lesson better when you can find yourself in it. And the more it comes to light that a fun story is a good story, more so than a didactic story, I think kids will have an easier time and not be searching further afield.
Do you see more eagerness to read among that
I think
population?
so. From the kids that I've dealt with, they love a mess. There is a certain niche market in the Orthodox publishing world that will only read Jewish books, and they will only read characters that look like themselves. So that doesn't speak to me personally, but there is a large market that will not read secular books at all. So they need, more than anything, kids who run across the fields and get messy and get dirty, so they know that that's normal and that that's okay, and that not everybody just sits and smiles up at their rabbi in class the whole day and listens to their mommy, and that doesn't happen. It's difficult for children to read that. It's difficult for children to feel bad when they compare themselves against that, especially for those kids who don't get to read the whole gamut of what's at the library. So when you're writing for the Orthodox market, I think that you should bear in mind that they also need to know that they're children first and little morality students second. That's what I think. That's my agenda if I were to have an agenda, which I hope I don't.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Do you have a new book coming out after this one?
Actually, I thought that Shimmy Shambon was the kid who was messy and would not take a bath, but it turns out he has a lot of problems. And we may in fact find out that Shimmy Shambon will not go to bed, or perhaps Shimmy Shambon will not go to school. I'm currently working on Shimmy Shambon will not go to bed.
We'll use him to explore many issues.
Yeah, all of which have popped up in my own house among my own kids at one time or another. So, I know whereof I speak. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for talking to me.
All right, thank you. Yael Zoldan.
Yes.
From,
Zoldan.
where are you from?
I'm from Passaic, New Jersey.
Okay, cool. Thanks for talking with me. There are so many ways to connect with the Book of Life. Fan us at facebook.com/Book of Life Podcast. Follow us at twitter.com/Book of Life Pod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. You can also listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. And, of course, find links to everything at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida at cbiboca.org and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.